What most people do not realize is a huge waste of money. Fit teas. If you want to take a laxative, just take a laxative, no need to disguise it as sipping tea. The utter horror of 16-year-old me drinking one of these, having no idea that fit tea was a genteel way of saying shit tea. My god. LOL, my little brother made that mistake. Mum had Bao the laxative chocolate. I hated taking the little pink pills. To make it easier to take, well, mum just put it back in the fridge, just wrapped in the foil. About 25 minutes later, my mum goes to grab something from the fridge only to notice the bar was gone. It was about the size of a regular Hershey's bar, except like 2 little blocks were gone, so it was mostly still a full bar. Mum kind of panicked and asked if we ate it. Said no. Then we noticed my bro was kind of missing. Mom put 2 and 2 together. We found my brother in the bathroom begging for mercy on his butt. He was 6 at the time. That's actually your mom's mistake. You should make sure medicine is labeled, especially if it looks and tastes like candy and you have a 6-year-old around. With a 6-year-old, you make sure it's out of reach entirely. A label isn't going to mean much to a kid that age. Funerals are the biggest ripoffs. I mean, for the person who has passed, they get their funeral for free. Not unless you pay someone to kill you. Whose funeral is it? Yours. Are you quoting the opening scene of Live and Let Die? You know you did. You know you did. You know you did. Wasting food. Working in food and bev has taught me how much we actually throw away on a daily basis. Save the unused remains of vegetables, meat, bottoms of condiment jars, leftovers, and get creative. That shit adds up. Oh man. Fried mashed potatoes are delicious. Cold mashed potatoes. Any other good stuff you'll want to throw in the mashed potatoes. Breadcrumbs. Try different flavors. Egg. Roll mashed potatoes with some flour in your hand until round and add a little more for. Set aside for about 15 minutes. Warm up your oil. Please say in Texan accent. Roll your balls in the egg, drain well, then roll them in breadcrumbs. Sometimes I also grate some pecorino or parmesan reggiano. Fry until golden brown. I'm not rolling my balls in that. What? You don't like adventures? Also, people who don't know the difference between a use by date and a best before date. And even with a use by date, it can still be good. The sniff test is king. Storage facilities. 98 times out of 100 you'll end up paying more than the stuff is worth in storage. Most of the time a staggering amount more. You are far better off selling your possessions off and buying new on the other side. The exception is 1 month when you're between 2 houses that are closing. Most of the time you end up with vermin infested dirty stuff that is worthless. My mum has been paying for a storage unit since 2004 to store her grandmother's china hutch. At one point I added it all up and asked if it was worth $24,000. She told me yes, so I gave up. I've had the same conversation with my father. I think his total was $28,000. He told me yes and I gave up as well. Just know you're not alone. Ugh, same. Something like 36k at this point? And I have the ability to go get stuff out of there, but she will not give me the key. It's a sore spot, but I've also given up. My bike has been in the back of my dad's storage unit for over 10 years now. I'm sure it's basically eroded at this point. I tried to get it like 8 years ago and my stepmom refused me because she'd have to move a mountain of stuff out of the way. I guess I don't own a bike. Being out of work due to COVID-19, I've learned that takeout is the biggest waste of money. I've solely been eating food at home since being out of work, and I am genuinely shocked that I've been able to make my money stretch as far as I have. I'm wondering how much I'll be able to save once things go back to normal, if I retain the habits I'm practicing right now. I'm kinda torn with this. On the one hand, I'm glad that tons of people are going to learn the value of saving money and eating at home through all of this. On the other hand, I like having tons of restaurants to choose from, and if nobody eats at them, many will close. Tobacco. I added it up one day, and it was shocking what I was spending. Ended up quitting on principle alone. Advice I got from my nana. Whatever you would have spent on tobacco, put away in savings each week. Some of the best advice I've ever gotten. If it helps at all, I work at a gas station. One day the rep from one of the cigarette companies swung by to talk stock and whatnot and how important it is to maintain the right amounts of the right brands and whatnot, because customers usually only give a location 2-3 chances. Forgive them for being out 2-3 times before leaving and never coming back. And when that happens, that's an average of $2,000 per year that you let walk out your door. I don't know, something about hearing it so concretely put into words what a given smoker represents to the tobacco company really struck a chord with me. It's one thing to hear about the cost of smoking from people who are trying to get you to quit. Somehow, it was another thing entirely to hear it from someone who wants people to smoke. Can confirm as a former pack-a-day smoker. When I quit I installed an app to tally up how much I was spending. It came out to $2,500. I've gone to Europe twice and Hawaii twice on the money I've saved. Damn. I'm gonna start smoking so I can quit. Think of the money I'll save. Australian here. A pack-a-day smoker would be $8,000. You're better off quitting. More than $5,000 US. This is because we have public health care. Despite the high tax on cigarettes, I think the government still loses money overall. Treating lung cancer is expensive. On one hand, that's what happens in the marketing department of any organization. Doesn't matter if it's McDonald's or the Red Cross. And I should know, I work in marketing for a large non-profit. The consumer can be boiled down to numbers on a screen: how often they visit your site, how much money they spend or donate, whether they share your content on social media. That's not to say that I think that's really okay. I'd love to be able to cut through the bullshit sales-wise side of things and get to know each donor, because the people who donate are probably good people just by virtue of them having donated. On the other hand, I feel like it's different for a tobacco company. They sell a product that everyone knows is designed to be addictive and also will kill you in a host of uniquely painful ways. Shit, not even alcohol brands are like that. Yes, I am aware that alcohol isn't good for you. I feel like that's sinister on a whole other level. We can look at this two ways. Everything non-essential is a waste of money. The joy you gain from them is worth every penny. If only joy was worth money. My take is to choose to obtain joy from things with no price or expiration date and... who am I kidding? I buy $5 lattes almost daily when I'm working. I think most people know when they are wasting money. But they do it anyway, because it's convenient, easier, or we just flat out want it. That's why we work. Money is just a tool to trade for things we need or want and carries only the value we assign to it. Going out to eat every damn day. Going out isn't what annoys me. It's my friends who get food delivered to their house every single day, and then complain about being broke. No shit, you just dropped $12 on a Big Mac, because you were too lazy to go get it yourself. 70 sushi, 50 on Drizzly Baby. I deliver pizza and I never get things delivered myself. I can't imagine being that freaking lazy, and also the various surcharges and the longer wait. Like McDonald's is fairly shitty already. Imagine it costing double and also having sat in a stranger's car. It's only really reasonable if you're fricked up on something or you have kids. And a scary amount of people don't have that as excuses. For me, when I order delivery, it's usually less about how I want this particular item and more about if I put in a food order now, by the time it's delivered I can do XYZ thing, or I don't want to cook and then clean up after. It's mostly about being able to use the time I would have spent either driving or cooking in other ways. Honestly, it still boggles my mind that there are people like this, and I used to work for Postmates. To me, eating out or getting delivery is a treat, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that for some people, that's just how they live. Microtransactions in most video games. A woman at my work was recently lamenting that some mobile game she plays was shutting down. Apparently she had put a couple grand into it. I didn't know how to respond. This is more common than you think. There are quite a few mobile games that require repeated purchases if you want to stay competitive. These games tend to still be fairly appealing to free-to-play players, but only if you accept not ever being able to compete for top rewards. So especially early on, there is plenty of entertainment to be had without spending. Often, These games don't really offer anything interesting in terms of in-app purchases for small, casual spenders. Like spending $5 every now and then will barely improve your game beyond what the free players can do. These games are explicitly designed to cater towards the so-called whales, the people who spend large amounts of money on a game. Some developers even enlist the services of behavioral psychologists to fine-tune the triggers that get people to spend money repeatedly. There is almost always a social or competitive element, because a pure single-player experience isn't going to be as enticing to spend money on repeatedly. If these whales have the disposable income to drop hundreds or thousands of dollars on mobile games, then more power to them. Their spending allows me to play the game for free during the phase where it is still fun, when you can still increase in power through just playing, before you hit the paywall. But I imagine that these games will also draw in people who can't afford to spend what they do. And that's sad. Buying the branded version of everything, especially simpler foods. Most unbranded products have the same or very similar ingredients for a lower price. Okay, but off-brand Oreos are no, they don't taste the same, and my husband grew up on off-brand Cheez-Its, and he agreed that name brand is better. There's some things that do not matter, like sour cream, but some things do. I buy generic almost every time, but there are 3 brands that I'm feverishly, unapologetically loyal to. Coca-Cola. Is it made by quite possibly the most evil, short-sighted, profits before everything company on the planet? Yes. Is Pepsi okay? Hell no. Jif peanut butter. You ground your peanut butter yourself at the Whole Foods and it has no long name chemicals in it? Cool. Enjoy your shredded bread and jelly mashup with a bowl of that abomination squashed somewhere in there. My favorite kind of soybean oil is partially hydrogenated. Thanks. Heinz. Fricking. Ketchup. The mom and pop burger joint down the street that just has big red labelless bottles may think they're pulling a fast one on me, but I know as soon as that gritty, clearly not processed in Pittsburgh red sauce comes flowing out, I know, right off the bat, that it ain't Heinz. I have written off the smoothness of texture that Heinz achieves in the processing of their ketchup as pure freaking magic. They're down to the level of splitting atoms to eliminate grit. It's so damn smooth. There are fresh jars of Jif that aren't as smooth as Heinz ketchup comes out. The perfect balance of tartness, sweetness, salt, and tang that just hits when it's the real deal is unmistakable, and once you can identify it you'll resent the unwashed heathens who go out and spend their hard-earned pay on hunts. Catsup, get the frick outta here. As far as I'm concerned, fries are merely vessels for ketchup delivery, and I've abandoned whole orders of fries over not having that Iron City nectar to dip them in. Life is too short to settle for anything less. I appreciate your vigor of thoughts.